Welcome to the Why on Earth Community Podcast. I'm your host, Aaron William Perry, and today I'm visiting with my dear friend, Kawenniiosta Jock. Hey, Kawenniiosta.
Hi, Aaron.
It's so nice to be with you.
Yeah, it's been really nice. We haven't seen each other in a few years now, and it's really good to reconnect.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. We're gathered today on a very special organic farm in central New York, where Kawenniiosta is leading a land rematriation effort in the ancestral Mohawk lands. And it is so amazing to be here with you and to have walked the land with you earlier today.
Yeah. It is. It's a new gift every day.
Kawenniiosta Jock is Kawenniiosta woman from the Wolf clan of Akwesasne and creative director of Sky Women's Forever Farm, an indigenous-led initiative rematriating ancestral lands in the Schoharie Valley of New York. A dedicated land steward, she integrates indigenous traditional ecological knowledge with modern remediation practices to restore soil, water, and food systems affected by industrial pollution. Former co-executive director of the Waterfall Unity Alliance, Kawenniiosta also brings years of experience in youth advocacy, cultural programming, and indigenous fashion, which we do have to talk about.
Yes.
She is a master seamstress, full-spectrum doula, and mother of 6, committed to cultural revitalization, language preservation, and environmental healing. A graduate of the Champions of Change Leadership Program and a member of several Indigenous-led alliances, she works to advance sovereignty, sustainability, and community resilience through every aspect of her work. And I'm also delighted to share that in our new book, Our Biggest Deal, Pathways to Planetary Prosperity, Kawenniiosta is one of the essay contributors, and it's actually her essay that concludes the collection of essays. So we could say in the book, Kawenniiosta has the last word. And I am so happy to be back in this region with you and to be visiting again, and really excited about our conversation today.
Yes, me too. Really looking forward to it.
Well, last time I was up in this area was the end of 2019. And boy, a few things have happened in our world since then.
Yes.
A lot of change, including your stewardship of this land here. And I was hoping, just to kind of kick things off, you could tell our audience a bit about this farm and where we're located and situated and what you're doing here.
Well, when we spoke last and when we got to visit last, it was really just talk at that point, right? It was a vision. It was the beginning of something that we at that time we didn't know, right? We just knew this is what has to be done for our people. These are the things that we're going to need. And we really didn't have the foundation yet. We really didn't have anything except the knowing. So, through all of that, through the hardships of that time and the growth and the abundance and all of the gifts from creation that's, come since we've last visited and talked and we shared that vision. It's gotten us here on a 60-acre fruit farm on our ancestral lands. Not only is it our ancestral lands, but it's also an ancestral Turtle Clan village. And within our nation, we have clan families. And so myself, I'm Wolf Clan. We have Bear Clan family. We have Turtle Clan. And so this was a Turtle Clan village. And this is where all the Turtle Clan lived at one time. And It's a farm, orchard full of apples and blackberries and blueberries and raspberries, and it's actually really well known for its strawberries. They say the best strawberries in the region. However, since we've been here, we haven't been able to. I guess they kind of overgrown and got out of control with the previous farmer, and so when we got here, being new to being berry farming, it was just too far out of our control. And so we hope to one day reestablish those strawberry fields and offer that again, because it's a you pick farm. People come here and they pick their own berries, and we have a farm stand. We have greenhouses, and the reason for buying this farm was that, one, it's on our ancestral territory. Two, it was an ancestral village of ours. Three, they say this is the most fertile valley east of the Mississippi, and as far as soil and the properties and the nutrients and how good the soil is here. And back home from Akwesasne, where we come from, we're surrounded by Superfund sites, and our land is, heavily polluted with PCBs and different heavy metals and pollutants. Our waterways are polluted. And so we're unable to grow our gardens, with no worries. There's always something to worry about when we're just trying to grow food and sustain ourselves and our community. There's always something to worry about when we want to hunt and prepare for the winter, and there's always things that we have to worry about. So coming out here and our biggest goal is to grow clean food and send it back home to our community, because we have the opportunity to clean the soil. This was a conventional berry farm. There were harmful chemicals used on the soil, and I have never done this before. I'm experienced in growing vegetables and, community gardens on a 2-acre scale. But a 60-acre scale, turning a conventional farm into, I don't want to be certified organic, because I don't want to be controlled in any possible way. I want to be able to grow food how we as Indigenous people grow food in our ways. And I'm just really tired of living in the confines of foreign jurisdiction, as being who I am. So I will go every possible route to not have somebody tell me what I can and can't do. So that's what we've been doing so far. And we were able to fundraise in a matter of 3.5 months. We were able to fundraise to be able to secure the land, the mortgage, through donations and bridge loans and other individuals, private funding. We were able to secure this farm. And, I guess something to celebrate now is that this is our 3rd year here, and we were able to pay off the people who we had loans with and bridge loans and other things, and now all that's left is our mortgage. And a lot of we're grant-based now, and a lot of our grants, if possible, we've been trying to get grants that allow us to put money toward the mortgage, because the sooner we get our mortgage paid off, the sooner we're able to expand, and we're off to the races. We're, in full capacity, growing at scale, and that's our goals. I want to say, and I could be wrong, because I know that there's other people who are descendants of the Mohawks, our people who were here a long time ago. There's still people here in this valley. I don't know how connected or how much people know about who they are and where they come from here. But we planted our white corn this year for the first time, our traditional corn, and it's always a challenge in my mind, it's always been a challenge to grow our white corn next to conventional corn, sweet corn, yellow corn, GMO corn.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of stopped me the past couple of years growing our corn because I didn't want it to cross-pollinate.
Yeah.
So this year it was like up to the very last, we're in July, and we just went ahead and just planted the seeds.
Wow.
And we just, if we don't get any corn, we have little cobs. I don't think it's going to be as big as it normally can be. But it's the act. It's the symbology of just planting those seeds for our ancestors. That's an offering, because when is the last time they got to feel and see? And, I know everything is vibration and frequency and dimension and whatnot. So the fact that we planted our corn in the ground and we're nurturing and we're growing, and that's all that matters, whether we get corn or not. And that's kind of like how we've been doing everything. We planted a lot of old seeds, and we just think that our ancestors must be so happy because it's probably what they used to plant. And
very familiar.
Yeah, and it ain't even about getting a crop, or if it doesn't grow, or it's the fact that they went into the seeds, and that's our offering to our ancestors. So, we're just happy and grateful for whatever we get. Whatever comes.
Yeah.
It's always a gift, no matter what, and there's always a meaning and purpose.
Yeah. It's so beautiful, and for me, having been here 6 years ago to experience what you've created and realized and manifested with support from some of the community here and farther away is truly inspiring. I mean, this is for me a profound experience. And I'll say, I had the opportunity to eat an apple this morning with your dad and some raspberries, both fresh off the bush and some freeze-dried raspberries, and holy smokes, they're delicious and feel so full of life energy, right? That we often experience at only places like biodynamic farms, or places where there's a certain special something going on that is well outside the confines of conventional agricultural thinking, and is really inviting us all to consider opening our hearts and our minds to the possibility, and perhaps even we could say the reality, that there is so much more going on and at play with land and plants and trees and foods and medicines and water and stars and sunlight than a lot of us are probably thinking about these days.
Yeah.
And so it's just tremendous to be here experiencing this firsthand, and also knowing that you're holding so much vision about what's coming.
Yeah.
And I'm just thrilled to know that we're going to be able to experience more and more here with the work you're doing.
Yeah, and that was another part. Like, even though the biodynamic is all important to us, not being a conventional farm and not spraying for, or herbicides and whatnot, and that was something to accept in the first year, because you go to these farms, these U-pick farms, and everything's so precise and clean and managed, and there's no weeds, and just there's no weeds, and it looks manicured, and then I had that was a bit of a challenge for me, a little bit, because I would look at our fields and they were not like that, but then I had to remind myself, though, of everything else, that, like, the companion growing, so like they say, They say that when a person is sick or has any kind of, what is that, ailment? Is that the right word? Whatever's growing outside of your home is usually what you need. That's usually all you need. You'll find whatever you need outside of your home. So I thought about that out there. And all those different types of plants, species that were growing is most likely what the soil needed. You know, and thinking about the importance of that. And then also, every year there's new plants that I've never seen. In the same areas, there's new plants that weren't there before. And whether that's the birds dropping seeds or something, but every year there seems to be different plants. And my goal is to be able to learn every single plant that grows here, because there's a use for everything. But I feel that once we get our soil up to par and more healthier, then we could utilize the plants, you know, because I want to be able to utilize everything that's growing. Right now we can do the composting tea with it if that's what we decide to do, you know. But I just, you know, I want to be able to utilize everything here and be as wild and free as possible.
Oh wow. I really love that. I really love that. And I want to touch back on something we were talking about earlier today when we were out walking around the land with freedom. But before doing so, I also want to mention we recently did a podcast interview with Cynthia James Stewart at beautiful regenerative farm and ranch in southwestern Colorado, where she runs a restaurant with her husband on the farm. And she was talking about this observation of dormant seeds in soil that are there for decades and sometimes much longer, that begin growing when it's time, when it's needed, when the ecological conditions call for it. And she was referencing that as a metaphor for this phenomenon that you're spearheading here in this location, of so many folks around the world anchoring into places and establishing organic, biodynamic, traditionally grown foods and medicines. And part of what we've been observing in some of our other friends and colleagues' locations is that eventually neighbors and others in the same vicinity look and begin adopting some of those cleaner and healthier and safer and more vitalized and nutrient dense modalities of agriculture. And so I just, you know, hats off to you for leading the way here. And I know that on so many levels it has required of you an extraordinary amount of courage and energy and determination. And I was hoping you could just share with us a little bit about where you were before living here and what that has been like for you in your experience, and also how you're helping to supply foods, including with your parents, back to Akwesasne. And for our audience to really kind of understand that, I think would be really helpful.
Well, prior to coming here, this is my third year here now. And prior to that, you know, being a single mother, raising children even outside the system, and raising children to be wild and free again, although we do know that children are come into this world wild and free.
Yeah.
However, through trauma and through, you know, all of those patterns and our own as parents, how we project and unknowingly teach our children some of that, pass that on. I was in survival mode for a very long time. and not really even realizing, because that's just life. And it didn't really hit me until I was here for, almost a year, and I went home and I found myself, I was waiting in line at the customs at the border, because we live on the border. We travel every single day, through the US and these imaginary borders, but for the audience, the US and Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And every single day, like some of us live on the Canadian side,
Mm-hmm.
quote unquote, and some of us live on the States side.
Mm-hmm.
And our territory goes in the United States, Ontario, Quebec. And so that's just normal everyday life. However, we have to go through the borders.
Yeah.
To get groceries, to get to our families' places, and having to sit in line in these long lines, getting up to the customs agent, it's like an interrogation every time, because we're targeted, we're profiled. And I realized that I was back in that state of anxiety, and I could feel my body, like the stress. And then my day was thrown off after that.
Yeah.
And I really noticed, holy shit, we're in a constant state of distress.
Yeah.
Being there.
Yeah.
We're profiled. There's 7 different agencies within our territory, like Border Patrol, State Police, Ontario Provincial Police, RCMP. We're so heavily surveillanced. And I didn't realize that how much it affected us, our bodies, our nervous systems. So being out here, I recognized how learning to connect here, being here, learning to attend to the land, learning what it's like to grow seeds, to be intentional, to nurture those seeds, to water it, to talk to them, to sing to them, to be in relation again with the land here, rewired my nervous system. I went from survival mode, where my world was constantly spinning, to me being able to just pull back and slow right down, getting off the clock, being on nature's time. And, because when I came here, we want to eventually create a place and a community for our people to come home, to get out of all of that.
Yeah.
And this goes for people around the world. We're operating from a place of pain, survival mode.
Yeah.
And we need to get back to our heart space. And we need to be able to work and operate from our heart space.
Yeah.
We don't know how to be in relation with one another. We don't know how to work together. And that was my findings back home. Because of the trauma and just, everything, not having the skills. Conflict resolution. And that's still a hard thing for me. I'm still learning that part and aspect of everything. And because it comes with such deep-rooted pain, that it's probably not even all mine. It's probably something that was passed down generational. And so being here and recognizing and being given the opportunity and the support of our funders, the support of the Waterfall Unity Alliance, to be here and learn. I took it serious. I've learned to be very intentional with myself, with my time, what I'm doing, and I got to experience firsthand growing seeds, nurturing seeds, preserving the food whether that was canning or whatever, and then going to somebody and offering, that's an act of love.
Yeah.
And to exchange and barter food again.
Yeah.
And like the power in that, it brought me to my knees.
Yeah.
You know, and that was like that was a really profound experience that I've had here in this work too. And I think that that's a major part of the biodynamics, you know? It's not just, biodynamics is not just one thing.
Yeah.
Because we're all interconnected. Everything's interconnected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. That's so beautiful. And I noticed your daughter was here off screen a moment ago with a drink for you. I don't know if, if you want to grab that or not.
It's
or
okay.
We can keep rolling. But,
yeah, it's okay.
Well, I remember you telling me recently about especially this first year here on the land and your connection with the community of sunflowers and the deep work you're doing that is sort of across time in a way with so many generations before and to come. And I was wondering if you might tell us a little about that.
Well, because this was a village of ours, you know, it's like I want to say, and I'm going to say that I had no choice but to connect and go that far.
Yeah.
You know, and part of the work is, you know, I have to be able to go that far within myself to reach them. You know, and that's part of the journey, the self-discovery, the journey back to self, being able to connect with them. And again, I talked about, you know, really believing in the co-creation and what I was doing with myself and my life, co-creating my life. Yeah. And I say co-creating because I'm co-creating with creation. Yeah. You know, and just kind of being in my own world. Yeah. And it makes me not want to go back to society, I guess. Even though it's really lonely. Sometimes it feels lonely. At the same time, it's really hard to go back. Because your mind becomes so free and so you're able to expand your mind so far that it's like you got to go back to society and kind of put yourself back inside the box to relate with everybody, you know. And I don't mean that in a, you know, to talk down or anything, you know. That's just kind of a reality though. Yeah. And I just hope that everybody has an opportunity to find that for themselves. Because I can create the community here and I can do the work. People can come here, but if they're not open and able to receive that, then I can't do anything about it. You know,
it's a very inner process.
Yeah. So when we first got here, you know, it was just me and my children, and a few other locals that, you know, really helped out a lot here. And we didn't have a community. And you know, the work that I'm doing here is not for my own personal gain. I think about, and I'm working toward being able to support. And I know that us here, whoever's here, no matter if there's 5, 10, 20, 30 of us, this farm is only so big and will only be able to support so many people, you know, and I realize that. But when I do things, I have to think about everybody behind me, everybody back home, you know. And at the same time, I have to juggle not letting other people's fear get in my way, because I recognize that a lot of people live in fear. I used to live in fear very much, which hindered and put limitations on my mind and my thoughts and my co-creation, my co-creating. And, you know, and so that was the process that I had to go through and learn. And so being out here we didn't have a community. And the previous farmers had planted sunflowers. They had a sunflower maze and whatnot. And when we got out here, we closed for that year. We were just trying to figure out how do we do this? Where do we start? What grows when? And, just trying to get synchronized with the land.
Yeah.
So all of these sunflowers came up that we didn't plant, and obviously it was the seeds left over, But I really tried to just say, we didn't plant those seeds, and all those seeds came up. And in that plot of land, I want to say it was maybe 6 acres, maybe 4 or 5 acres, between 4 and 6. At one corner were the tallest sunflowers. And then as you got to the kitty corner of that, they got dwindled down in size where they were just little ones. And it reminded me of all the men in the back, and then all the kids up front, and the women, the elders in between. And I would stand in front of where the little ones were, and I would envision that those were the ancestors that were here. That was the council. That was my council. That's all I had. And whether they were sunflowers or not, it's still all energy, and I still needed to reach my ancestors, and that was my reality. That's the reality I created. And I would talk with them, and I would ask, what is this going to look like? What do you want me to do here? And sit there and just try to listen and make my offerings and sing my songs in our ways, and the things that we were taught. And I dream a lot, I vision a lot, and I'm very visual, and it just started happening. Things just started happening, and the vision just started getting clearer. And I went through the whole year of learning to regulate my nervous system. Now I can talk about that, and when my people come, I can have some type of, I don't want to use the word program, because I don't want to program anybody, but I have a blueprint, maybe something of that, to help guide, because I understand everybody has their own journey.
Yeah.
And this year, we were able to bring 3 men here who came from a very chaotic environment, and also struggling in addictions and very high-sprung, not so safe environments, cities and whatnot. And we were able to have them here, financially support them while they worked on the land. Some of them never even had their hands in soil before.
Wow.
We gave them seeds to plant, and we taught them that responsibility, and I was able to share with them that relationship and how we build relations with self through our seeds. And within like 6 weeks, they couldn't believe how good they felt. Their thought processes changed. Their nervous system, like they were recognizing the change in their nervous system.
Yep.
And it was very transformative. And I thought, like, wow, like this is what it can look like. This is really happening.
So powerful.
And then I just hopefully, I shouldn't say hopefully, because we will have everything we need soon enough to have more support though for them, because they just kind of came, and I recognized that I didn't have everything we needed to fully support them in some of that. It was kind of like cold turkey. They just got plopped on the land and but
it's so beautiful. And I know from many conversations you and I have had over the last several years, Kawenniiosta, that what you're envisioning and bringing forth here is going to help so many people in the coming years. And I'm so excited and delighted to be, one of your fans, and somebody who gets to watch this to some degree unfold. And I want to encourage our audience to go to skywomensforeverfarm.org and learn a bit more, and you'll see some beautiful photos there as well, and can support Kawenniiosta and the work that's being done here. And we'll talk a little about the Rematriation Fund, the fundraiser that's underway, and also a very special little opportunity with some piano keys that Bob Dylan played. Actually, we'll get back to that. And I'm just so thrilled that we have such a special essay from you in our new book, Our Biggest Deal, which is a deep dive into exploring the various structures, strategies, the bridging across the territories of finance and economics and governance, corporate structuring, community mechanisms that we can use with these kinds of healing and regenerative efforts. And I'm thrilled that in this book we have a collection of essays in one section from 28 extraordinary leaders from all around the world.
Yeah.
And that the very last piece in the collection is your piece. And I want to read for our audience the title of your piece and ask you to just reflect on this for us, because it's so beautiful. It's called The Liberation of a Mother Expressing Peace to Her Children and All Creation Has the Ability to Transform the World Around Us. That is the law of the land. And it's such a moving piece. So I was hoping you could perhaps convey to the audience in your own words, not necessarily the words you wrote that were in here, but what that's pointing to, what that's inviting folks to consider or even experience.
In our culture, I'm really that word culture too. So I'm really learning definitions. I'm learning like the energy behind certain words, and I'm trying to rearrange my vocabulary. So in our ways, we're taught that when we wake up in the morning, when we go to bed, when we are going to conduct any type of business, when we're going to have any social gatherings, anytime we come together with our communities and our families, that we always give thanks and acknowledge the natural world. And we start on the ground and we acknowledge the dirt, the roots, the plant life, the bugs, the trees, the waters, the vegetables, the gardens, the fruits, all the wild foods, the animals, the fish, just the marine life, the trees, the birds, and we work our way up to the sky world. The sun, the winds, the messengers, the thunders, the rain, the moon, the stars. And then we get to the higher power, the higher, source. And we acknowledge them each. We have words for every little thing in creation that we recite. And we're taught that in school. We sit across from one another, the whole school, the kids, we sit across from one another and we take turns doing each one. And we learn that as reciting, right? And when we're doing gatherings and ceremonies, we're in a building, in our lodge or whatever, in our houses, and we're reciting. being here, it was the physical part that I actually got to go through. The physical part of, and that's really what we're supposed to do. Like go and actually go in front of the bug and acknowledge and thank them. It's raining and it's thundering, going out and acknowledging and burning our tobacco and singing our songs and speaking and whatnot. The fruit, the plants, the seeds, the everything, like the physical part of that is also what, that's our original instruction.
Mm-hmm.
And getting back to that act, because then it becomes an even stronger manifestation of what we're doing, because it's a physical, not only are we mentally thinking that, we're physically.
Yeah.
So it kind of just like shoots us off into, the universe and accelerates everything. Yeah. And that's what I found to be true, coming back to our original instructions and being so caught up in the rat race and having to work 9 to 5 and not ever really having or taking the time. And I know that is part of an excuse. I don't have the time to go outside when it's raining, or, or we find these excuses, right? We do. And I actually got to play outside and dance and yell and laugh with my kids in a downpour, like every downpour, which it was so liberating for me. And that came with healing too. That was a part of another healing, something within myself, that a blockage, So there were so many different aspects of acknowledging something outside in the natural world and connecting that back into a part of my inner healing that needed to be done. Mm-hmm. So there's been so many of those little, I guess, wounds that I've been working and learning to kind of resonate that out of me. Becoming coherent is what I believe to be, the outcome of everything here. And, that's been my journey. As a little kid, it's almost like the colonization of everything. We're just reciting to being here, and I've gotten to do the physical and the act of it, like every little part.
Yeah.
And having the time.
Yeah.
Almost like there was nothing else to do but that.
Yeah.
And how that transformed my life.
Yeah.
Gratitude. And that's all it comes down to, is gratitude.
Yeah.
Being our first year here, again, we didn't plant squash or zucchini, but there was 80 squash plants that just popped up like weeds in the greenhouse.
Beautiful.
And we transplanted those out into our garden, and we grew that. And we didn't have to plant that, but we were able to send it back home. We were able to, have some at our festival, but that was a gift. And recognizing all these little gifts, and being so grateful, just for small things like that. Finding that arrowhead that I talked about, that was a gift.
Yeah.
And it might be so small, but it had such a big impact.
Yeah.
And it was almost like, I just picture like the, I don't know what you would call that, like the Big Bang or something, those moments.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about the arrowhead in a moment, and I also want to just reflect on your essay, your piece. It's not just an essay. It's almost a poem. It's almost a song. Reading it, and I want to encourage folks to check that out. You can go to whyonearth.org/ourbiggestdeal And there's a coupon code OBD10 if you want to get a 10% discount on the print book or the ebook. Please do share with your friends and family and colleagues. This book is an incredible resource for executives, financiers, philanthropists, family offices, change makers, community leaders, entrepreneurs, folks working at the nexus of stewardship, regeneration, sustainability, culture, ecology, health, wellness, family, etc. And in here, not only is there this incredible essay and piece by Kawenniiosta, but there's also a couple chapters, I think, very related to what we're talking about today. One being a chapter on the original instructions and grandmother's counsels, and the other being a chapter on our inner work.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to ask you something very specific about this, because I have found for myself that many of my friends and colleagues are working with beautiful evolutionary concepts like coherence, and are able to think about the symbolic and conceptual relationships between, even certain planetary bodies and certain herbal medicine plants and so forth. But there is something so specific and powerful and magic that happens when we're actually interacting, to your earlier point, physically with the soil, with the seeds, with the plants, with the water, with the rains. And I know for so many of us, right, at this time, so much of our lives is spent indoors, and often very disconnected physically and mentally, and in terms of our emotional bodies and our spiritual bodies. And I know it's a bit of a sensitive topic, right? Because, many of us are living in cities. Many of us are very busy, raising kids and doing what it takes to survive in this modern world. But that all said, I also know from my own experience and many experiences of friends like you who have made the choice to connect more deeply with place, with land, with water, with the green relatives, the creatures. And I want to ask you, for folks who haven't yet established that connection as much as they might be able to, what would you say? Like, how important is that?
It's very important because, when we are living disconnected and we are disconnected, we're not listening to our intuition.
Yeah.
We're disconnected from our intuition. And that's that's by design. That's by design.
Yeah.
They don't want you. Imagine if the whole planet was in this state.
Yeah.
Like, what would I believe and would think that our entire planet would be different.
Yeah.
Everything would be different.
Yeah.
Do you think everything would be more healthier? I think everything would be more healthier.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
I do. There's a part of this that I didn't touch on yet that I would like to share.
Yeah.
And before coming here, I got to a very, for myself, my journey has been very specific in I was given a timeline even. It goes so deep in how I got here. When I was 30, I had dreams that I went to a medicine man about, and he told me, I can tell you what your gift is. Do you want to know? And I said, no. And he said, why not? Like, what do you mean? But at that time, I was running from myself still. And I was still very much in a lot of pain internally, and not really fully understanding myself at all either, because I was so disconnected, you know. And he gave me a timeline. And that timeline, I tried to really avoid that timeline. You know, like, yeah, right. You know, like, I'm not able to do those things, or I don't know who you think I am, but no, you know. And there was other reasons why I needed to see medicine people. And when I would go, they would always ask, are you ready to help your people yet? And I'd be like, what are you talking about? I'm not here for that. Like, why do you keep saying this to me? And it would anger me. And when I was 34, I had to go see somebody. I walk in and he says, so you're back. Are you ready now? And I'm like, come on, you know, like, no. But I cried, and I got so angry, and I cried that I recognized, why do I get so angry? What is really going on? Why did I cry? Why did he keep saying this to me? And that's really when I had to dive into my journey of figuring out why. Yeah. And I did dabble in some plant medicine and some ceremonies, and I was very intentional with it, though. I treated it as I was in ceremony before, you know, speaking to the medicine and saying, like, this is what I'm after, this is what I'm looking for, and I need help. And it brought me back to a time when I was like 6 years old and I got in trouble for being able to see things. And that was the time that I shut that side of me down. And I totally forgot about all that.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And so that unlocked, then I understood what they're talking about. I remembered. And then from there, you know, I was told that by the time I was a certain age, I would be where I am right now, ready to help. Yeah. And when I was, I would say about 4 or 5 years ago, I really dove deep into reconnecting with myself. And I didn't know what to do, but I decided to listen to something that was coming through me. And it was my inner voice and giving me instructions on what I needed to do. And I tried to run again. Like, yeah, right, I'm not doing that. Nope, sorry, stop talking to me. You know, and every month it got louder and louder, that voice.
Gosh. Yeah.
And I was, you know, walking away from my long-term relationship, you know, my family. I was recognizing that I was very much lost within my own spirit, you know, and that something was happening to me. I was waking up to something, you know, and I decided that out of love for the both of us, I would leave and walk away, because I really wanted to know what self-love meant. Recognizing that I didn't even know what that was, and that I should not have been in a relationship at all. Ever. Prior, you know what I mean? And I was determined to learn and figure out what that meant. And so I was given instructions to go to the water, fast flowing water, and sit there and meditate and make my offerings and sing and ask. And something happened to me. And I was, you know, after going there and after having that experience, within a week of that, I had a huge moment where I processed something really deep, and I recognized that work was starting to happen. Like, those different traumas were coming to the surface. And I went a month later, I went back again, and I did the same thing. And within a week, another trauma came, and I was like, I made a commitment to go back to that same spot. For 1 year, I committed every month. I went there and did the same thing. And sometimes I would sing the same song over and over and over, and because I could feel my energy moving up, I could feel it. And I would sing until it broke me. And then I would just cry and cry and cry. And I never asked, like, here's my offering. I need, a new car, or I need this, or it was always, I'm grateful for the fire. I'm grateful for this, coming to terms, coming to this realization. I'm grateful for the lessons. Continue showing me what you want me to see. Because I was learning that we can't control, if we try to control the outcome, we kind of hinder our own growth, right? I wanted to learn also how to be free in love with creation, love with life, love with in every aspect, with no conditions, because I was only taught conditional love. And that commitment I made to myself for an entire year changed my life. And it got me here. It got me to this place now on my ancestral lands. And that's really, like I said, the timeline has been very specific, and I spent half of that timeline not believing in the timeline, running from myself. And so if that answers your question.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
And that instruction and that acknowledgement of creation was all in there. It was all part of that. But surrendering, learning to surrender, and just trusting the process, and like telling myself I'm not crazy, and after a year, my thought process changed. All that self-negative talk was like almost gone, to where now if I get it, it's like a thought there for 10, maybe 5 seconds, and then it's like, nope, sorry, not for me no more. Like I don't sit in that, and it doesn't control me.
It's liberation.
Yes. Yeah.
Makes me think of the word oneganos.
Yes, that's the power of that water.
Yeah.
Because it said not stagnant, not in a pool of water. It has to be flowing fast.
Yeah.
Because it's gonna take your grief with you, with it. It's gonna take your grief away from you. Yeah.
It's so beautiful.
Yep.
The water. I'm feeling so happy and full, having this opportunity to visit with you again, Kawenniiosta, and hear more of your journey and sharing what you're sharing with us. I really appreciate that. Thank you. I want to remind folks, this is the Why on Earth Community Podcast. I'm your host, Aaron William Perry. Today visiting with my dear friend, Kawenniiosta Jock, here in central New York on ancestral Mohawk lands, specifically on the lands of a Turtle Clan village in a very special, sacred, fertile valley. And you can find more information about Kawenniiosta's work and about the Sky Women's Forever Farm at skywomensforeverfarm.org. And of course, we'll have the link in the show notes. We will also have a link for the ongoing fundraising that you're doing right now as well. And I want to be sure to thank our sponsors and friends who make our Why on Earth Community Podcast possible, and who have also been instrumental in supporting the development and publication and promotion of our biggest deal, our new book. And this includes And Co. Hospitality, Bluestone Life Insurance, the Brad and Lindsay Lidge Family Foundation, Clean Edits, Climate First Bank, Dobrosfera Kind Media, Earth Coast Productions, Gaia AI, Goodstead Financial, Patagonia's Home Planet Fund, Hush Blackwell, Launch Legal, Regenerative World Quest, Verona Rylander Philanthropies, and Waylay Waters. Of course, a huge shout out as well to our many ambassadors and Y on Earth community members around the world, especially including folks who are part of our monthly giving program. And you can find more information about all of this at yonearth.org. If you'd like to join our monthly giving program at the $33 and up level, we'll be happy to send you jars of our biodynamically grown hemp-infused aromatherapy soaking salts from Waylay Waters as a thank you gift. So check out the show notes with links and more information on all of that. And Kawenniiosta, I mentioned I wanted to ask you about the arrowhead. And we were out walking earlier today and found a couple beautiful pieces of flint. And I was hoping you might share with us the experience you had with a particular arrowhead.
Yeah.
And what significance the flint stone has to your people in this valley and what's happening here at Sky Women's Forever Farm.
The Mohawk people are the Kawenniiosta, which translates to the people of the flint. And these are our ancestral lands, and it's full jam-packed of flint. However, our reservation lands and our now territories, which is 4 hours up north, there's no flint around. So growing up, because I hadn't ever come this far out, I actually never been here before prior to moving here. Wow. There's no flint around. So we grew up like, okay, we're people of the flint, but like, what's flint?
Where's the flint?
Where's yeah. Wow. And I didn't even realize how much of a disconnect that was neither. Like, I could only imagine how many other people felt that way, because when I got here and I seen all the flint, it was like a missing piece of my identity. Yeah. Right? And connecting in that way too. So, because this is a village, or this was one of our village sites, there's been a lot of, archaeologists that have come and found all kinds of tools and arrowheads and spearheads and beads and just all types of artifacts. And when we came out, we were here, I was here maybe 6 months and I didn't see anything. I didn't really know what I was looking for. I didn't find anything. And so I was in the greenhouse one day working, and then I just was like, I tried to be in here. I basically, after that whole transformation I did and everything, the gifts that kept coming and learning to reconnect with myself in that way, I learned how to live my life led by spirit, right? That's what they call it. And so being in the greenhouse, I'm working and whatnot, and I hear, sit down and meditate. So I'm like, okay, here we go. And I sit down and I'm meditating, and then I hear, get in your car. And I'm like, okay. I get in the car, and it's like telling me, go here, turn here, turn here. And it brings me out back. And it brings me out back and back of the dome. And I get out of the car. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just going with it. And I get out of the car. I'm looking around, and it brought me to a place where they had dug up some earth, and it was just kind of piles of dirt. Like, it looked like people were just dumping stuff there. And I'm sitting there looking around, and I'm like, okay, I don't know what I'm looking for. So I just made my offering and sang my song and just, all right, I don't know. Maybe I wasn't really hearing what I thought I was hearing or something, you know. And I finished, and like as I was gonna turn around and get back in my car, I looked down, and on top of the dirt pile is an arrowhead. Like somebody just put it there. And it was almost a full arrowhead, except the tip was missing. So it was like a full arrowhead with, you know, a straight line, because the tip, the little triangle part, top part, got cut off. And I was so like amazed, and I was kind of like, holy shit. Like, and I cried. I was so like grateful, and like, first of all, I was in the greenhouse meditating, because somebody told me to meditate, and then they told me to drive here and take this turn and take that turn, and then it brought me to this. And I just was like, what is going on right now? Like,
wow.
Who am I?
Wow.
But
you are the tip of the arrowhead.
So I just, from then on, I just really embraced the spirituality part of everything, because I know we're spiritual beings, but really just, all right, no more, you know, excuse my language, but I want to say fucks given, you know? And I'm just gonna be all the way out there, because it's just us here, and why not? We have the opportunity, it's here, and it's been a beautiful journey, led by spirit.
Absolutely beautiful.
And just when we think we might not make it, something happens. And it's another opportunity to be grateful. It's always an opportunity to be grateful. Yeah.
It's fabulous.
And so after that, though, our eyes, all of our eyes, me and the kids' eyes were just like, we could just be walking down the driveway, on the road, in the field, we spot, and we've found so much now.
Wow. Amazing.
So it got to the point where an archaeologist came here, and he's like, oh, I've been coming here, you know, I've been coming here for years, and I want to show you where all the things are, like where you can find artifacts and whatnot. And they say that when the archaeologists find things, like if they find it, it's theirs. And I said, well, I really appreciate you coming here, but we want to find our own things. He says, well, let me just take these out. So I said, okay. And we were finding things, and he says, well, I guess you don't need my help.
Yeah.
You know, like,
yeah.
And I'm just like, well, we know what we're doing.
Yeah, you're recognizing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. How tremendous.
So now we have buckets and buckets
Amazing.
Of things. You know, we play in the creek a lot with my kids, and they found so many different types of rocks, and like, granted, you know, it could be because of the water and how the water will form stones and different rocks and do things, and you know what I mean? So when we went for a walk earlier, I told you where the creek was, way back there. And when you're down in there, you can still see Roman's nose. And I found, actually I didn't, I'm sorry, my kids found this one stone where it was like a perfect kind of rectangle with a handle, and then it was at the end it was like angled. It was almost like a knife or something. Like, it had handles, it has grooves for your fingers. It was long. It was perfectly straight, angled. And I'm standing there looking at it. And as far away as Roman's nose is from being out there, you know how, you know.
That's one of the mountain formations near here that's
so
a very
I
significant
held
landmark.
from where I was standing, I held that rock up. And it fit perfectly into where the stone shows at the top of the mountain.
Oh my gosh.
It was so like,
oh my gosh,
like unbelievable.
It's like out of a movie.
Yeah, it was like a puzzle piece.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and I can share a photo. We can share a photo
That'd
on
be
the
super.
on the podcast of that, because it was just like, what in the world is going on?
That's fabulous. Oh, I can't wait to see that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Amazing. Well, I want to be sure to invite our audience to support what you're doing, Kawenniiosta, and you've got a fundraiser. You still have some. It's been tremendous to witness the support you've received financially to become stewards of this land, and also to witness how quickly you've been able to retire some of the debt on the land. There's still a primary mortgage remaining with some debt remaining, and need financial support to get that all
Yes.
free and clear. And also, because of your friendship with Bethany and Peter Yarrow, who of course recently passed, you have a very special gift offering from Peter Yarrow's friend Bob Dylan.
Yes.
Some ebony piano keys, right? That
Yeah.
Bob played at a cabin in
And Woodstock, yeah.
And there's only 3 remaining.
There's only 3 remaining.
So at the time of this recording, can you tell us a bit about these special piano keys from Bob Dylan, and how folks might be able to get one of those from supporting your work here?
Yeah, so Bethany went back to her dad, which is Peter Yarrow from Peter, Paul, and Mary.
Mm-hmm.
And she had gone and visited the cabin in Woodstock. And it was, I believe that it had kind of broke down and, like, you know, caved in, and because it being so old, or I'm not sure if a tree fell or something. And I believe something fell on the piano, but she saw these keys. And she didn't, I don't know if she thought anything of it at the time, but she just grabbed these 10 keys. And she knew that those were, you know, that Bob Dylan had created some of, well, not only Bob, but I'm sure Peter too. They created, you know, some of their greatest hits on that piano in that cabin. And she gathered these piano keys, and she was kind of holding on to them as, you know, remember, what is that, what do you call that,
like a memento or
something. Yeah. And she was, you know, like, generous enough to say, hey, like, we have these keys. She reached out to Bob Dylan. She told him the story of what's transpired here, and, you know, what she wanted to put those keys toward, and asked if he would sign them. And she sent the keys back to him. He individually signed every key.
Bob Dylan did.
Bob Dylan did, yeah. So his signature's on there, and we had these really nice cedar boxes made. And so, with a donation, a minimum donation of $50,000, we give you a key, and you become. There's only 10 keys.
Okay.
So total.
And only 3 left.
And only 3 left, yeah. And so you become part of the circle of the healing of the ebony keys in the Eastern Gate.
Wow.
And it's just a circle of 10. It'll be a circle of 10 people, and beautiful. The only 10 people in the world to have these keys.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Circle of the healing of the ebony keys.
Something along those lines.
Okay. That is absolutely fantastic. Well, I'm so grateful we've been able to visit and record today, Kawenniiosta, and my hope is we'll take a few extra minutes after this main interview to do our little behind the scenes segment for our ambassador network. But before we sign off from our main podcast episode, I want to invite you to share or say anything else you'd like to close out. The floor's all yours.
Well, I guess, you know, I just want to thank everybody for tuning in, and, you know, having the opportunity to share my journey is very meaningful to me, because through all of this, and through, you know, going back to the land and to the water in those places, what came out of that year journey of that commitment I made to myself was, it was really reconnecting with my womb. And the wisdom of our wombs as women, as life givers. And I was given specific instructions that I had teachings to share with our women in reconnecting them with their wombs in a way. And, you know, I would like to take the opportunity to let anybody know that I have things to teach and things to talk about and share. And you can reach out to me via email or, skywomensforeverfarm@gmail.com, or I'm on social media, mostly Instagram. You can find me at Life of KSJ. It would be life_KSJ. Sky Women's Forever Farm on Instagram as well, Facebook. And, I would love the opportunity to share my teachings with community. And even, again, we talked about the food sovereignty sector of things and how I recognize that we only get to the surface level of food sovereignty, and we don't get to the inner work that is cultivated through the food sovereignty and that work, and the deeper inner work and teachings that come from, that gift of love of, the food and exchanging and bartering and whatnot. And if there's opportunities to speak on those, and I would greatly appreciate and be grateful to be a part of anything like that. And, thank you, Erin, for making your way here. And, it means a lot because I know that you've seen the journey from the very beginning of everything, and the hardships that we've gone through, and working through a lot of different dynamics and people and situations, and the growth that's come from it. And I'm just grateful that you're here and you recognize, and it just makes me feel good because, like I said, I don't realize what I'm doing or how much impact I'm having, because I'm just being, I'm just living, I'm just, we say in white man's world, it's all about progress and not about living.
Yeah.
And that's what my grandmother taught me and taught us. And she talked about when we're connected to the land, because we are the land, and really we're just being connected to the land is being connected to self, because we are the land, that we're present and we're living in harmony and we're coherent and our nervous system is regulated. But when we're always living with progression and trying to progress and trying to get better, it's stressful. It can be very stressful, and we're not present in those moments sometimes. So I don't realize sometimes that, from somebody looking in, what they see because I'm just doing what I'm told to do, like basically living by spirit, and trying to remember all my teachings that I've gotten from my elders and community and teachers. And I was fortunate to go to the Akwesasne Freedom School in Akwesasne, where I only learned our language, our culture, our land-based teachings. And I'm very grateful to be able to take all that, what I was taught, because it's really all I know. But to be given the space and the place to be able to, utilize my teaching and how important it is. And really, it was original instructions. That's what we're taught.
Yeah.
So, thank you. Yawakoa.
Yawakoa. Thank you. Beautiful.
The Y on Earth Community Stewardship and Sustainability podcast series is hosted by Aaron William Perry, author, thought leader, and executive consultant. The podcast and video recordings are made possible by the generous support of people like you. To sign up as a daily, weekly, or monthly supporter, please visit yonearth.org/support. Support packages start at just $1 per month. The podcast series is also sponsored by several corporate and organization sponsors. You can get discounts on their products and services using the code YONEARTH, all one word with a Y. These sponsors are listed on the whyonearth.org/support page. If you found this particular podcast episode especially insightful, informative, or inspiring, please pass it on and share it with a friend whom you think will also enjoy it. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your support. And thank you for being a part of the Why on Earth community.